Today is Tuesday, December 10th, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard, seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast. I am your co-host, Mike Shalau of Was Brewing, and I'm here with your co-host, Chris Quinn of the Beer Temple, and I biffed the date.
Yeah, you did. It's okay. I forgive you.
Yeah, it's my sister's birthday, but we're not talking right now, so I stumbled
Got
over
it.
it because
That's
of
why.
Emotional problems.
Got it.
Yeah.
Freudian. It was
Yeah.
a Freudian slip.
Yeah, she was very mean to me very recently, so we're not talking anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, get it all out, man. Air it out. This is the place.
There's not much to say. She's kind of a terrible person. So
Keep going.
That's it. We're good. How are you, Chris? What have you been up to? Just waiting for us.
Waiting for you. Finish your beers. Get over here.
Yeah.
Um,
To be fair, this is one of the first times I've been late.
True. I don't think I've been late very often. Very infrequently. I've come in late for setup before.
Times when we've recorded the show, you haven't been late. There have been times where I've shown up, set up the show, and you've been like, I forgot.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
That's true.
Or I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
We're not doing a show.
Right. So I'm
Probably
like, hey, it's
that.
all set up back here, and I just recorded shows solo that no one will ever hear.
Yeah.
Those were probably some of the best
You
shows.
talk about your family and how you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how my sister is mean
Yeah.
to me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway.
But here you are.
Was your sister mean to you this week?
No.
Or this month?
No.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. No. I have a great relationship with my sister.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great for you.
Yeah. I don't have a sister, but
A better relationship than I have.
so yeah, things have been going well with me. It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. But I was on the road a little bit. Got to Delaware and had some pumpkin ale,
Hell
which
yeah.
I don't think you can really get. I didn't see it in Chicago.
I think they've really pulled back on that beer.
It's a good beer. I had it on Thanksgiving Day, and I drank, I think, 3 of them that night. And wasn't even like, it just kind of like melded into the background. And you can't really say that for a pumpkin beer very often. It's
Right.
like a spiced brown ale is really
Yeah.
what it is.
Uh-huh.
And pumpkin beers just need to get back to that. I
Right.
mean, that's just what they need to
They've
be.
been trying to compete with like the pumpkin spice latte.
Right.
And now it should
And
just
they
be,
and they become gross.
yeah.
Or like they become like a half a can kind of beer.
Right.
You
right.
know?
Too aggressive, too sweet, too spiced.
Yeah.
And it is arguably the original American beer.
Arguably. Yeah. So we had that and the Oktoberfest, and not from Dogfish, but from another local brewery up there. And I was perfectly happy having the pumpkin beer, which surprised me. So I meant to bring one. I brought one home, but I did not bring it here because on the way back,
Is
it's,
there anything on the way back that you enjoy?
well, it's funny. My wife doesn't even ask anymore. She just like gets a hotel room in Middleburg Heights.
What's in Middleburg Heights?
That's where Fatheads is, and
Oh.
where we stay now is if as soon as you get onto the highway, you can see Fatheads from there. So the kids went into the pool and were swimming around. And I was like, "All right, see you guys." And I went to Fatheads.
Chris walked towards the highway.
And just walked. It's definitely that suburban area where there's no, where the roads are like way, way, way wide.
Yeah, you cannot walk.
You can't walk. There's
Yeah.
no sidewalks. It's one of those places.
You
But
had
it's
to-
also in
you
an
had to-
industrial area.
Right. To get from the entrance to the industrial park to the front of the building, I think would be a mile walk.
Yes. Oh, yeah, you've been there.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I've been to the same one that you sent me a picture with Serge, and you're like, I cannot feel sadness.
Yeah.
I'm in my happy place.
Right, it's true. And I went in there and, again, attempted to buy merch. Bought a shirt for the first time ever for myself.
Oh,
First time
really?
I ever bought anything for myself there. Don't know if I'll ever wear it, though. But it's closer than I've ever gotten.
There is so much merch, and there's so little that you or I would actually want to
Unironically.
wear. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wear the hat you got me probably like 4 days a week.
The knit hat?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
While I run
Oh, that's great.
and sweat into it.
That's good. That's good. With your fat head.
Yeah, my big fat head.
Fat, sweaty head.
Yeah.
That's good. I
but-
think Eric wears his hat every day that I got him.
Definitely. I can't imagine him not. I remember being in that gift shop or the merch store and looking around and being like, this is an absurd place to be.
Yeah. And then you said, I'll take one of those, and pointed to a giant, almost life-size fathead cutout.
Yeah.
And then you took that home.
We had to
Gave it to
figure
me.
out how to fit it into my station wagon.
Yeah.
Without bending it too much. And we brought it outside, and because there's no other large buildings around, it's like bringing a sail outside.
Right.
And it immediately bended the head over.
Yep.
But I got in the back of the station wagon. We did have to unpack the car and repack it to fit the fathead standee in there for you.
Okay.
So,
He's
but
here
Why
still.
not strap it to the roof?
Right.
because it would have taken off like a sail on
You would
top
have
of
flown
it.
home.
We would have been able to achieve escape velocity because of how big it was.
Just the head part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's still here. So I was there, and let's introduce our guest.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
we can get back to the meat of
The
the
bits
of the show.
Yeah, the meat of the show. Yeah, sorry.
Should I or should you introduce Mr. Tom Beckman?
I should introduce him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of Goldfinger. I had to put the pause in there so people
Yeah.
think that I've forgotten.
You don't remember the
I
name.
don't
Forgot his
remember any
name.
names. Yeah.
Jude
Rose.
Rose?
Rose?
Tom Beckman?
I don't think I do the
No,
question.
you don't do the question.
I just do a slight pause.
Yeah, you know everyone's name. It's just
I'm like Jim Brown. He always would get up slowly. So if he was ever hurt and had to get up slowly, no one would notice. So I just always pause that way. If I need to pause, no one will ever know.
Perfect.
Smart.
So it's very thought out. How are you, Tom? Anyway,
I'm doing great. Great to be here, guys.
cool. I like your Phineas designed T-shirt, baseball tee that you've got on the 3/4 length.
That's right.
Stole my idea. I did that years ago with one of his designs. No big deal. Same colors and everything. So
3/4 lengths are your thing.
I've been doing
Oh, yeah.
3/4 length.
this
recently.
sort of thing, that sort of length is my thing, baby.
Tis the season for
Yeah.
3/4 length tees.
Yes. It's a very nice shirt. I enjoy it. How are you, man? What's new?
I'm doing great. What's new? Just came back from a brewery that's making saisons here in Chicago. Doing a great job of it too.
Thank you. Oh, which one was it?
Afterthought.
Yeah. Dang.
And also was just came from was. Yeah.
Wow, a two collab day.
Yep.
Yeah, double collab
Yeah,
day.
early in the morning at Afterthought and made my way over to was later. No, it was great. We just spent the day brewing a really cool, interesting beer that
Bison grass saison.
Bison Grass Saison.
What is bison grass?
It's also called sweetgrass. It's like a vanilla-y, earthy grass.
There's like a vodka that's
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's
it's a
spiced.
broad-
with
That was
that,
the
right?
That was the
inspiration.
inspiration,
Zhubruvka.
Got it.
Bison Grass vodka has that like very vanilla flavor to it.
We also use Polish hops in it.
Yep.
So, what was it?
Octavia, and Isabella.
Which we've never used any Polish hops before. One had like a very like citrusy, bright aroma, and then the Isabella I think had like a much more like earthy, like vanilla kind of thing going on.
Yeah, it's an interesting combination of fruits and herbs and kind of complements to this vanilla bison grass saison, and Mike nailed it. He knew exactly where to put the bison grass, as if he's been brewing with it for years.
Of course.
Into the beer?
Into the beer.
Oh, okay.
My dad
I know where to put this. In the
In
beer we're making.
yeah.
That's great.
But when to add it, you gotta.
Yeah.
While we're
Yes.
making it.
Yeah, while we're making it, so
Yeah.
you should add it.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. You are an expert.
But it was one of those things like I've never actually worked with it before, and we added it, and then I was like, I don't know if this is actually going to work. Like we added it during the whirlpool. We'll see if it extracts the things we want from it. And then we were about to knock out. We had been pushing through the knockout hose with hot water. We're about to switch over to actually pushing the wort into the fermenter, and there's about 12 ounces that we had of wort that we switched over that wasn't hot water, and we did. I'm like, nope, we got bison grass, very much bison
good.
grass. You could smell it in the entire brewery. So
And it's definitely one of those instances where when you're making a new beer or using new ingredients, it's really important to like actually chew them or smell them or taste them before you use them, because we discovered that it was pretty bitter when we chewed on the grass before we added it. So modified the hop additions and stuff so that hopefully it's a nice, smooth saison.
we'll see. Couple months.
Do you have a name for it?
Le Bison,
Ah, got it.
the bison. Yeah.
The bison.
Yeah.
Now, that's a French
French-Polish hybrid.
because
Franco-Pole.
Because doesn't the French they only use their own words, right? They don't use foreign words. That's like a whole thing with them, isn't that?
Well, when I put into Google Translate bison to translate to French, it just said bison.
Yeah,
So-
I think that there's like a whole thing with the French language where like for it to be French, like they make a French version of all words that come into their language. So maybe they don't have.
This is
one
a
for bison yet.
hybridization of like bison in Polish is bizon, and then we put lay in front of it.
Because you're cultured.
Yeah, very cultured. I don't speak French, so
You guys are swagged out hardcore right now.
yeah.
Especially,
totally.
well, both of you. You're both doubled up with swag. Is that like what brewery owners do? They just have to like rep hard.
Well, most of what we're wearing is Goldfinger swag.
Well, you have a giant yellow was sweatshirt on.
This
Which
is
I
just-
also
these-
own now.
yeah,
I should have put that one up.
These are just my clothes.
I mean,
I've been embarrassed a couple times going out with Sarah where I'm wearing a was sweatshirt and hat. And we're like, do you work there or are you just like a big fan?
Yeah.
I'm like, I work there.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like 5 years into this, or going on our 5th year, my wardrobe is like 98% Goldfinger stuff at this point.
It's like, well, I paid for all of these,
Right.
so I'm gonna wear the T-shirt and the sweatshirt. And
I mean, yeah. For me, it's beer, maybe some other podcasts that I like, or
oh yeah, dude, Yeah.
or Eagles, and that's it.
you really like the band the Eagles?
No, don't
Well,
you have?
Don
Don't you have
Henley.
that Flyers
Like,
beanie?
yeah.
Don't you have a Flyers
Oh, yeah, I
beanie?
do.
Yeah,
I do. That's
Just
right.
take
That was
it
my
easy.
dad's. That's old.
I know.
It's like
It's
a
sweet.
40-plus-year-old beanie. Don't make them like they used to.
They don't. They really
Although it's
don't.
very much back in style now, so you'd think that it's new, but
So they do make them like they used to, just not as well.
right.
Yeah.
You can tell it's not the patch is a little bit nicer.
Oh yeah, and the way it's adhering to the
Yeah.
fabric is like it's going nowhere.
No, it's not going anywhere. So, anywho, merch talk.
Have you had any beers recently that you really enjoyed, Chris?
I did. I was just getting to that earlier.
Yeah.
Nice segue.
Thank
so
you.
there I was, Middleburg Heights.
How did I find myself in Middleburg Heights?
First beer I had on draft. So I've never sat down at the bar there. I've had dinner there and stuff like that, but I was there by myself, had a couple hours, and got their menu.
You texted
Interesting
me,
place.
don't enjoy any of these.
Yeah. First one I got was a West Coast IPA. It was amazing. I bought a case of it. I brought some here. It was even better on draft. It's good here. I mean, it tasted like I was in like San Diego.
You told me that.
Then I got a not thiolized, a terpene IPA. Wasn't a big fan. Took about 2 sips and said, no offense here. I'm just gonna go to the next beer. Don't only have so much time. She didn't quite get it. I was like, listen, I'm only here for like 2 hours a year.
Here, hey, I have a podcast you can listen to. Just
Yeah, right. So then I got.
They didn't know Chris Quinn from the
Right.
Temple Podcast? Come on.
I think I got a Headhunter then. That was very good. Then I got an Italian Pils. You okay? Yeah. Let's go. Here, I'll mute Mike. Yeah. So then I got an Italian Pils. It was called like, I forget, Benini or something. It was so effing good. It was so good. You didn't cough at all. I unmute you and you immediately cough into the mic.
sorry.
It was awesome. It tasted just like Pivo Pils. It was as good a Italian Pils as I was very surprised by it. It was super floral, not overly aggressive on the bitterness, but had a nice dry hop to it, but not too much. Really, really well done. I was like, all right, I have a couple more. Man. So
Is
then
that the first lager you've had from them?
I don't know.
I don't think I've
know.
ever had a lager from them.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, perhaps. Then I had a Gogglefogger. Awesome.
The king of hefts.
Then I was like, all right, I can have one more. I had another Italian Pils. I didn't have a Headhunter. I was like,
Wow.
yes,
Wow.
I liked it that much. It was really good. Then I went
amazing.
and bought a little more than 2 cases of beer. And then they're like, whoa, what's the deal? And I was like, don't worry about
Thirsty.
it. Yeah. Don't worry about me. And then I took off. So those are the beers that I had that I've enjoyed lately. How about you two? Other than the beer that you just made, you can't say that. That's lame.
we haven't had that one yet. Hopefully it's good.
What was the name of the beer you let me try today? The dark Saison with coffee.
Oh, the Free You.
Yes.
Saison Free You.
The way we came.
La Coffee.
Le
Le
Café.
Café. The way we came. That was a beer I had lately that was very impressive.
Yeah, it's a dark Saison that most of the color comes from dark invert sugar, like trying to make it like traditional English, like mild, or the way they would make porter back in the day, and then a little bit of coffee. And
The way it
Invert
came
sugar.
up.
Invert 1 or Invert 2?
invert too.
Invert 2, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was delicious. I was talking about when I worked at Lagunitas and Dark Swan was. Do you remember Dark Swan from Lagunitas?
Not really, no.
Sort of a smaller batch, and by Lagunitas size, more than Mike will brew in the next 3 years.
Yeah.
But really good, interesting, dark, kind of saison-y beer. And he's like, I got a dark saison too, and he brought it out, and it was delicious.
Yeah, it's a little dark matter coffee. Like the idea was, it's going to be a very dry beer, so we don't want it to be like very roasty or anything. So all the roast character comes from like caramelized sugar and coffee.
Got it.
And like the one we drank today had Brettanomyces in it, so there was like this like dried cherry thing going on with it as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had a guy come in yesterday looking for American saisons, and looking for saisons, and I don't know why I asked him. I said, "You looking for American saisons or European?" He's like, "American." So I was like, "Okay, come on." He just moved from the Boston area, so he didn't really want Oxbow, but he knew you guys because he went there to your place quite a bit.
Cool.
A guy by the name of Ben.
Nice.
And I was like, wait, if this was, like, well, I can't buy it from you. I have to buy it from them. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell him like you said that, and that you're stealing business from me.
Please don't do that. Please
Yeah.
buy it from here.
And I said, he'll say that. But he's like, but I was like, that's fine. That's cool.
What did
Just
he
won't be
end up
bringing that
buying?
in anymore.
What's
no,
left?
I told him to get some Afterthought.
Of course.
I told him to get some Sundial.
Yes.
And then
Amazing.
I told him, like, come on, like, let's be real. You need to get some Belgian Saison. I said,
Yeah.
why don't you have one of the beers that inspired Mike to open up a Saison brewery? And I said, this is Blaugie. You should try this.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, fine, I will.
Okay, fine.
So I got him to have some of the old world as well.
This is a very interesting person who only wants American versions of that, but
That's pretty cool.
Didn't want the Blaugie version. Like didn't want
Not
it.
at first, but then
Had he had it and it was like
No,
bored of it? He'd
never had
never
it.
had it.
never had it.
Wow, this is like I feel like the Saison consumer is a circle, right? Where like everyone has had the Blaugies, and now
I think this
we're
guy
like-
lives in your neighborhood, is what I think it was.
All right, so we
Converted him.
yeah, let's go. I don't know this person. Like I don't know. Like there's not someone like, oh, that's
Ben.
yeah, Ben is. But if we can create someone who wants to try all of the American saisons, then I think that's been a successful
Yeah.
week for us.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, he had Oxbow in the past, so
Cool. Because you said he was from Boston.
yeah, that area. So he said he's from around Boston. So
There was another beer that I wanted to share with you guys or tell you about because it's totally not in my wheelhouse and what I would normally drink. But
ooh, wait. Can I guess?
guess.
Was it a strong beer?
It was.
Was it?
He's gonna get it.
No, I won't. Was it a barrel aged beer?
It was.
Ooh.
2 for 2.
Was it adjuncted? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
You're crushing
This is
it.
amazing.
You've really narrowed it down too. I feel like there's only a couple beers left that you could possibly guess.
Well, I'm gonna stop there.
Yeah. Nailed
Very
it.
good. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, nailed
Yeah.
it.
And I'm going to embarrass myself because I don't know all the ingredients in it. But Marty from Rev came by the brewery to bring a fresh pitch of the wood that we had used for our Oak Original Lager that we did a couple times. Because we've kind of dialed that.
That's the collab you guys are doing?
Yeah.
With the Oak Ridge Boys? Zing!
God, his ass.
But yeah, we racked some original onto this like really beautiful French oak, and he brought a 19.2 can of something that apparently was like going for top dollar through the tap room. It's a VSO.
Oh, yes. As soon as it's VSO,
It
it's
was
something.
unreal.
It's really
and
good.
The terminal gravity really blew my mind because it was like upper 7s, low 8s, which
So not super sweet.
exactly. So like you got all the nice sweet complexity on the front. You got good heat from, I know it was like in Blanton's barrels at one point, but then multiple barrels. So you got the right amount of heat, but it was all well balanced and actually made you want to drink more than like 2 ounces of it because of how dry it was, relatively speaking. It was excellent beer.
That's cool.
And it kind of reminded me that like some of those can actually be really damn good.
Yeah, I'm ready for So I don't want them to go away because, I mean, they're, I think, just good for the industry overall. Those, like, you know, there to be some hype around them. But I'm ready for people to leave them for a while and then come back to them.
Like
I
the
think.
hyper sweet, like
No, not
intense barrel aged things, or
not the hyper sweet, I guess. Just good barrel aged stouts that you have for like a special occasion, because they can be really good at times.
yeah, they're like they are like elite. If we're talking about them this way, like elite tasting beers, but they shouldn't be the only thing you strive for, right?
Yeah.
So like really good barrel aged beer is like very incredible. But sometimes like I don't need like 16 ounces of this. Like I don't need 22 versions of this.
Yeah, and I think if you have too much of it, unless you're someone like Marty who like does it all the time, like I could see being burnt out for years on it.
Yeah, I mean,
Totally.
I
Yes,
started
I
an
was.
entire brewery to stay away from it. Like I did that at Pipeworks. I was in charge of that at Pipeworks, and I had hundreds and hundreds of samples of that, trying to blend things, and I burnt out on it. Like I can't drink any of that anymore.
Right.
Do you think there's room for non-barrel aged, non-adjuncted stouts to come back?
I
Is there
hope
an
so.
opportunity?
Yeah, I think so.
I know Suncatcher is trying to do that. So
Yeah,
That'd be nice.
it'd be really nice.
Like an old-fashioned American stout. So
Yes.
not like an Irish stout, 4%, like a 6%,
hoppy.
6.5% hoppy
Yeah.
stout, Obsidian style.
Yeah, I think like maybe it doesn't make as much sense as like a distributed, like it has to be sold everywhere style, but at select accounts or tap rooms and stuff, like people want to drink roasty, flavorful, low ABV beers.
It's funny. After an episode that we did a while back, we opened up, or we might have had Obsidian on the episode, I think, and then we drank more of it afterwards. Then we drank some other stouts, and I think it was kind of in a class by itself, if I remember. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
We were talking about how good it was. I don't think I've had it since then. Have you had it since then?
I don't think so.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. I don't understand why I'm like that. Like, wow, this beer is really good. This beer is standing up against all these. Like, this beer is just so good. It's so awesome. I'm drinking a lot of it right now. And then just never going back to it. It's so odd.
Is it because there's like a very specific time and place that it's like, I want to have this when it's like cold or whatever? And
Right. I mean, I guess I bet you if we opened it up right now, we'd be like, this beer's awesome.
Yeah.
And we should drink it more.
But what
often.
motivates you to like buy a beer and take it home? Right. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Probably different
'Cause-
for me than most people.
Yeah,
sure.
as
you have
owner
perpetually
of-
available.
Yeah,
All the
like, oh, I
beers.
want to try this, or oh, this came in, and
But I also like, I think I loved that beer when we drank it, and I was like, I don't want to have this at home. Like I'm not gonna
Right.
I'm not gonna tuck into this
right.
later in the night.
But maybe,
But
why not?
But yeah, it does one thing. It's a unique, very flavorful beer. And I don't know if there's many other, like, it's like a like a smaller version of Celebration. Everyone loves Celebration for like a couple of months a year, but no one's gonna want Celebration in July.
I totally forgot. Another beer I had lately. Nostra Douglas came through huge
Oh yeah.
I saw that.
with a can, like a crowler, of Selly drippings.
Where's it at? You just
It's at the bar. The empty can is.
was it?
Can we sniff it?
as elite as it seems to be?
Well, yeah, it was.
Was.
And I'll talk to you about it. It was extremely different from Celebration. So resinous, like sappy and resinous, and truly unique, truly cool. Not better than Celebration, and I don't think it was ever portrayed to be better than Celebration. I think a lot of times in people's mind, like special or special variants of something mean better than.
Right. Intended to be better than.
Right. And this wasn't. It was just supposed to be something fun, kind of whimsical. And it was cool. And it was different. And it was cool to have. And it was special. And it was very limited. And it was really fun. And I think it was super smart of Sierra Nevada to promote this like authentically scarce beer. And they can only make as much in proportion to how much Celebration they're making, because it's like the drippings of.
What does that mean? Like, what's the process to make Celebration?
Man, I'm not the best at.
It's like first runnings of Celebration.
No, it's once the tank is emptied, because the way they dry hop is they have inside the tank, they have this apparatus where you can
It's
adhere.
like torpedoes.
Yeah, adhere like big bags of fresh hops.
Yeah.
And it goes all the way up their tall tanks. They empty the tank out and leave those in suspension and let it drip down the tank, and then that's what they're
Yes.
harvesting from it.
Right. Yeah.
Whoa.
So you can so it's legitimately scarce. It's not something that they can really do. I guess they've been making it for a while, and good on, I was talking to Doug about it, and he was like, there's marketing-driven beers or sales-driven beers, and there's brewer-driven beers. He's like, this is like screams of brewer-driven beer so much, and then good on, the marketing side or whatever to be like, you know what, we should make a little social media thing about this or tap it one day and let people know.
Yeah.
And people, stood in line to get some and get a can of it, and that's how Doug got one. Was he was talking about Celebration and maybe Celly drippings, and somebody DM'd him who he did not know, was like, I'm in line to get some right now. Do you want me to get you some? And he
That's
was
amazing.
like, yes.
That's so cool.
The best
Yeah.
version
Cool.
of this that could exist.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for whoever that was.
Yeah, so awesome.
So if you tasted that blindly, would you have known that it was the drippings?
1,000%.
Oh.
The drippings?
Well, not drippings, but that it was from a Celebration. It's
Well, it was the same color, so it had that kind of maltier base to it. Was not as bitter. I thought it was going to be like
wasn't as bitter?
It wasn't as bitter.
Interesting.
It was way more kettle hop flavor. It was so kettle hop dominant and super resinous, and like sappy and just oozing of that. But it was also cool because I guess a few people here were like texting that it was coming in, and like people were showing up just to get it. Like the Sierra Nevada rep showed up to get some.
Sierra Nevada rep showed up to get some
Yes.
of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was like,
Awesome.
oh yeah, I want to try some of this. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it was cool. It was fun to have like legitimate organic hype in a way.
Well, and legitimate like scarcity, right? Like
Yeah.
it sounds like the way they make this beer is like they can't make much more of it than they do.
Right.
Like it might have been a thing that existed just for the tap room, and now they like. I remember like I was texting you about it, and I was very skeptical because it was like a Forbes article of like Sierra Nevada's releasing this very exclusive beer, and I was like, fuck this. And but the way that you're describing it seems much cooler than like them trying to capitalize on it. It was just them being like, hey, we're doing this cool thing, and like I would love to try that.
Yeah.
too.
It's in a generic
and-
crowler.
Yeah.
With a little sticker.
Do they do that at which brewery was it from?
Mills River. And I
Okay.
think Mills River only.
Is the only one? Oh,
I
okay.
think so. But I could be wrong.
Cool.
So I had that too. And that was really good.
Awesome.
That was a fun experience. Yes.
Sounds great.
Very cool.
So I had a lot. But the best beer of all of those was this one right here. was this.
That's what you're holding
this
up.
fathead.
Oh yeah, fathead.
It's a fathead. It's a headhunter.
Yeah.
It's a headhunter from, I think.
I think it's from Fatheads Brewing.
Yeah, it was brewed on November 5th. November 22nd. So it's pretty
Nice.
Kind of old.
pretty fresh.
Pretty fresh.
Let's crack that open.
Yeah, it's really good. You guys should have some. It's awesome. It's so good. It's such a good beer. I gave Eric some, and he texted me back the next day. I could you could tell it was the moment he opened it. He was just like, "This beer slaps
damn.
so hard. It's like it's so good.
It's so good.
So, yeah. So I've had a lot of good beers that I've enjoyed lately. Yeah,
Great.
that's all there is to that. Yes.
Should we talk about comings and goings? How do we want to structure this show? It's already a little.
Yeah.
amorphous.
Well, yeah, comings and goings. So, one that is going in a way, I had heard about recently, right after Fobab, in the wake of friend of the show, Jacob Sembrano of Cruz Blanca, winning a medal at Fobab for his Angostura barrel-aged fruit beer, which we had put on at our Fobab preview party. And when I heard we were putting it on, Max, the beer buyer here, was going through the beers that he had gotten, and I was like, oh, my God. I mean, that beer. So we're going to have a sixth of this on for 3 months.
Yeah.
So I tried it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this beer's awesome!" I said, "This beer is medal worthy," because both of you and I have judged there quite a bit, and you get to know when there's like good beers and when they're like, "Oh, this is cool," and I was like, "This could definitely medal," and it did.
Yeah.
I forget what it did, maybe a bronze or some silver or something.
Silver bonds. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was talking to him about it, and he's like, well, there's also something I want you to hear from me first, and that's we're selling, or we sold, or we're being acquired by Molson Coors. And, yeah, he told me some other stuff. I don't know how much he wants me to say, but, yeah, let's just say they're not interested in the entire portfolio.
Sure. Right, but they're keeping the pub, so the pub will continue to make interesting beers, but
Maybe.
hopefully.
Maybe.
But they're probably going to make a bunch of Mexico calling.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a Mexico calling factory.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the one. Well, never mind.
Yeah. I mean, they made a very strong brand, and
Would you have guessed that it would have been Cruz Blanca? I wouldn't have. Like, if the next Chicago brewery to sell to I wouldn't have guessed that.
I mean, knowing who else founded it, and like one of the owners of it sold the Rick Bayless brand to ConAgra, that doesn't seem like someone like you and me who'd be like, let's just make a brand to like, just for fun, because we want to make good beers. So
I'm
I
not
think
saying that they
like,
wouldn't want to sell, but would you have guessed that Cruz Blanca? I mean, maybe you would have. I wouldn't have guessed that Cruz Blanca would have been one of the first.
knowing that I would have, I actually would have.
Well, that plus they had started brewing out of the Molson Coors Texas facility.
Yes.
Right.
So that kind of seemed like it was going in that direction.
Right.
So I guess in hindsight, it's not that surprising, but no, it wasn't like on my radar that, they're definitely going to be the next brewery to get acquired.
Yeah.
But just like anecdotally, I remember sitting in this very room with Jacob and him talking about the pride that he had in developing Mexico calling. So like I actually have not talked to him since that, but as a brewer myself, yeah, it's a loaded situation, but on one front, it's kind of amazing that something that he really worked hard developing will reach more people than he could have ever imagined he would be able to reach through this acquisition. I don't know if that's how he feels, but just based on conversations I've had with him, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be surreal to have one of your beers, like, be all over the place,
Right.
you know?
Be at every stadium, every like
Right.
airport, all that stuff.
Yeah, that would be surreal.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if, like, Will B was at, like, yeah, like you went to, like, a
Oh, right.
Padres game
Yes.
or a Yankees game, let's say.
Yeah.
And it was on at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Not even O'Hare. Like, you go to, like,
Yeah. I would
LaGuardia.
I was lose my mind.
well, it would just be so, like, yeah, it'd be surreal, probably. Yeah.
If it, yeah. And then you have to taste it and be like, is
But would
this
you
my
would you
baby?
be down with that happening if it meant that you had to sell your soul to a
It's
big
just-
beer?
I mean, that's a really it's really hard. For that beer, no, I can't. I can't imagine it. But it's also because like I don't think that's a possibility, right? So like when I look at what will be is,
Will be.
no part of that is that it would be desirable for the people that would want to put it in those places or use it in that way. And I can't, if someone actually came and wanted that from me, I have no idea how I would react because I'm so connected to that thing. And like I've never considered it as a commercial brand that could do that. Like that could be something that would be in an airport or at a stadium outside of my own.
What
work.
was do you have? The seasonal. Okay, I'll have that.
Yeah,
you,
that's
you don't imagine that happening?
No. Like, no, I don't. It's too hard to Google our name for people to figure that out.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I don't think that it's a good thing for Jake to have done or
Yeah.
the value you get out of it. But I genuinely, starting was never thought that could ever happen or that would ever be a exit strategy or something like that, is to sell the brand or to have.
But even
Right
more,
now.
I mean, the thing, yeah, I mean, I guess what you're saying is Cruz Blanca was expressly not trying to not be something that could sell. But
yeah,
even so, it'd be pretty cool to start a beer at a small brew pub, kind of with some production, with some distribution, and then
Yeah, it'd be-
potentially, you know,
Yeah,
have
it'd
it
be
be all over the place.
unimaginable from but like incredible for them. Like it's kind of a thing. Like you work really hard and you try to make a brand that is valuable to yourself and people that want to drink it, and they did a really good job.
Also,
of it.
Molson Coors, you know, doesn't buy a lot of brands, and just
They're divesting.
then
from
they
a lot
just
of-
divested a bunch
Yeah.
too. So
Yeah.
they don't buy a lot; they just divested, and then they pick up Cruz Blanca. So let's put on our hot take caps and guess as to why. I mean, Tom, do you have any idea like why Cruz Blanca?
I have some ideas.
Do you not want to go first?
No, I'm happy to go first. I think we also have to look at the way that this was announced, this was rolled out, because I feel like in the past when craft brands were acquired, it was very much like but this is still going to be a craft brand and we're just going to make it, we're going to enhance it, we're going to put some money behind it kind of thing from big beer, which of course we come to find out never actually happens. This was not that way. It was just like we're acquiring this really good brand. And they weren't, I don't even think they use the word like craft, or I don't even think they referenced Illinois.
I'm not blowing up Doug, but Doug was telling me how he was curious. Like he had gone to their website and they were like pretty explicit in using the word craft, like craft cerveceria. I think they use a lot. They are right now.
Okay.
Now. And what he's saying is how long until that word craft is scrubbed from the website and from all the branding, because craft as a term is not hot right now, and he thought that some of those bigger entities would really want to kind of disassociate it with being a craft and just having it be a kind of cool Mexican brand. So it's interesting that you would say that, because that's exactly what Doug was thinking as well.
I think this is purely theoretical.
Doug, sorry if not.
But I think that had the presidential election gone a different route, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Could have still happened, but maybe not as quickly.
You're thinking it's a tariff-related thing?
I do. I think that if it's not, there's certainly an upside for Molson Coors to own a domestically produced Mexican lager. And we'll see, but I do feel like Constellation is a big competitor of theirs, and there's a brewery right across the border that might end up having difficulty exporting the beer that they were designed to brew, and this seems like a good place to slide right in.
Yeah, I mean, it's the branding is cool, and shoot, you can always change the branding, and the name,
Mexico Calling.
Cruz Blanca.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it just becomes kind of like, I'll have a Cruz Blanca and you get Mexico Calling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Cruz Blanca is a really strong.
It is.
It's stronger than Mexico Calling.
I mean, everybody's
Cruz Blanca
for
just
sure.
sounds cool.
Yeah.
The word cruise is in the
Yeah.
English vocabulary.
Yeah.
Even
yeah.
if you don't pronounce it like Cruz, which it should be pronounced as.
Oh, I was thinking more like Tom Cruise.
Yeah, but Tom Cruise, exactly.
Ooh.
Or Penelope Cruz.
Right. Oh,
Spanish.
yes.
Yep.
Yes, I can see both of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it kind of spans the English and Spanish language. It's got some cool artwork. I mean,
Yep. So, I'm curious to see how it goes. Also, isn't it funny, like, versus, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, how just like a local brewery being bought by a giant brewing concern, we're just like, oh, okay, cool.
yeah, totally.
I mean, I guess, but it's also, it's like they're on the other side of this like machine, right? That like there've been so much of like large breweries buying up craft breweries that now where they're spitting them out, like they're firing people, they're like destroying like any sort of thing that we
Getting
thought
rid
was
of the-
craft about them.
Tilray getting rid of the
And now-
R&D.
right.
Boo, Tilray. By the way, you suck, Tilray.
Yeah, suck a detail, right?
Yeah.
But now, like, they're in the mouth of it. Like, so who knows what's now coming down the machine or river or whatever you want to, like, whatever metaphor you want to think about for a brand.
Pike.
Like that Pike. But it's completely different. We're in, like, 2016 when this show was, like, yeah, everyone's getting bought every fucking week. Oh, sorry. Serge. Like, now it's, like, no one's getting bought. So if you're getting bought, like maybe
If you're getting bought, you're giant already.
But
That's
I-
the
but
other
but
thing.
they're not.
That's what I'm saying,
Right.
which is the other thing that's interesting. Like,
Right.
there wasn't a big reaction, which I agree. Like I would assume that, given that nobody's getting bought, but then all of a sudden, like a pretty small brewery here is getting bought, and it's not like Kings and Convicts up that already has big money behind it. Like
That has to speak to like how they went about it, right? Where they've been brewing most of the beer we've been drinking here probably out of Texas, out of a Miller Coors facility. Whereas most of us are like, oh, maybe we can like contract with like this place or that place. They're like, no, we have a vision and plan for how we're going to move through this place. I don't know. I think it was
I have a more cynical take on that,
yeah.
Love it.
which is that the enthusiasm behind craft beer in general is way down.
Sure.
That, like, something as huge as that, because it is huge. It is big news.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay. And it's just because that's kind of how the market is reacting to most beer things lately.
Yeah.
I hope
With
I'm wrong, but it
apathy?
kind of feels like that.
Yeah.
There's more apathy, I feel like, yeah.
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 I can see that. And I think apathy overall, and with people in the industry, maybe just
Jaded by acquisition.
we're just like worn down with everything.
Right.
I think everybody is so worn down with like I don't know everything, just how everything is going right now.
Right.
That it's just like, oh, okay.
Well, maybe some of it, when you talk about industry, is the industry's reaction to Cruz Blanca activity anyway, which I always feel like they have been underrated. The industry doesn't, like, they're not always top of mind when you're talking about certain styles. Unjustifiably, by the way.
They had another plan, right? They had another
Right.
path that they were looking at, other than just like, how do we get 5 stars in Untapped?
Right, totally.
Right.
They weren't going after that, and as a result, like, hype boys weren't like, oh, go to Cruz. Well, there were some, but it just wasn't as widespread. So maybe there is a little bit of that too within the industry where it's like, oh, it's Cruz. Whereas, like, I don't know, maybe if Rev got acquired, it would be a bigger reaction. Maybe just because of their size, or I don't know. Cruz was always operated a little bit under the radar.
Yeah.
So the reaction continues to be under the radar.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any other comings and goings, Mike?
Afterthought, not shutting down as a brewery, but shutting down their tap room in Lombard.
Yep.
December 29th. For anyone who listens to this podcast who can get there before then.
Have we talked about Rev here closing down too?
Yeah, we've talked about Rev.
Because that's happening really soon.
That's like the 13th, right?
Yeah, 13th or 14th.
Yeah.
Jeez, I got to get there.
Yeah. I haven't been since they've announced that.
I haven't either. Boy, oh boy. Got to get there.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And then...
That's the thing. I think that's why we're all just like, Cruz Blanca selling, okay.
Well, we're going through like obviously a changing, like a tumultuous period of actual shutting down or actual opening, and this is like where it has been shaking out. Where I don't know, like there's been plenty of talk about, oh, this will be this place closing and this and that, but like. Now seeing like places we would go, things we would want to do, shutting down, closing, Rev tap room, afterthought. Like it isn't a fun time for them to just be like, oh, we'll just have like a tap room open anymore.
An afterthought to our afterthought.
An afterthought to our afterthought, right? So we'll make our way out there as a group at ISWAS. We've been talking about it, taking a trip out there. Paying homage to like another Saison forward place, but
And we'll join the Goldfinger crew. Will join you out there.
Yeah, because it's a very unique, special place that everyone should go and have some of their beers. Have the beers that it was a great like weird little beer bar out there too. Like so much Orval, so much like other beer that like would not make its way out there.
No.
So,
I mean, like, you might see it at the beer cellar, but, like, the cultish part about it didn't exist except for at the Afterthought tap room. Like,
right.
The
like
real
having,
big,
like, Terrace Bulb on draft or something like that.
Terrace Bowl on draft. Like, different vintages of Orval, like
just going geeky.
yeah, and seeing the things that were like very specifically Mike Thorpe inspiring him and what made him make that place. Like it's worth going to see all those beers and understanding why he made Afterthought and
one of the best saison breweries in the country.
yeah, easily. And seeing like something that's beautiful about craft beer is like individual expression or understanding of how things should taste or be, and people trying to make those exist in the world. And Afterthought is one of those beautiful places that is like low level radar. Like obviously they have like very high ratings on tap, but like to go there and experience it, if you're anywhere around there, go there, drink the beers that they also like bought from other places that they think are important, and experience something like.
Let me ask you, too, do you think that, like, people who are into beer should maybe think about things a little bit more ephemerally? Like, I have not, but, like, you know how with, there's some restaurants where you're just like, this restaurant is not going to be gone tomorrow, but this restaurant will not be here forever, and I need to kind of like take advantage of this restaurant while it's here. Should we be thinking about some of these breweries like this?
We're in the era when they say, hey, we're closing, where absolutely you have to go. And like there's restaurants where you're like, oh, like you're closing. Oh, that's a scene or a vibe, or there's some sort of cultural importance to what you were doing there. Where like Charlie Trotter's or something like,
right?
Like I'm not saying that's the impact that Afterthought has, but like, yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's
like,
after it says it, but I feel like that with some restaurants and stuff before anything is said. Like,
sure.
Now I've been wrong with this one, but I remember thinking Schwa was like, I got to get there because this place is going to be closed, and I got to go.
Yeah,
and I got to go and
sure.
go and go because it's just it's not going to be like it is. Let's say it even is open. It's not going to be like it is.
Right.
And maybe I should start thinking about beers that way too. And it's not quite hype, but it's like just this ephemeral thing where, you know, it's so good right now. I should be taking advantage of it because oh my goodness. Ron Extract said, it's like, you know, beer is always changing and everything is just in constant change. And the beer you're having right now will never taste like it does right now. And if somebody is killing it, doesn't mean that they're going to be killing it forever.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, Fathead's Headhunter might not be good forever. Maybe we're in like this golden age of this beer and something's going to happen to it and it won't ever quite be what it was. Maybe it'll be like the Alpine Nelson, where it was like, it's now this like thing of lore, thing of legend, how good it was. And it really was that good. I mean, those beers were that good.
Right. And they like those you can only taste those one time, right? Like most breweries will not be making the same beer now that they'll make in 10 years.
Right.
And most breweries will not get to the point where they're so consistent that the beer will never change, and they shouldn't. Like most breweries are what you're describing as ephemeral.
I mean, even some of the guy. I mean, even places like Half Acre, Rev, stuff like that, Lagunitas. These beers have changed.
Yeah.
A Goose Island.
Yeah.
All of these
Peak
beers
Honkers
have changed.
Yeah. Peak Daisy Cutter is gone.
IPA used to be a Goose IPA was like
amazing,
a magical beer, and it just isn't anymore. Like let's just no shade.
Yeah, Goose IPA is over.
It's like it's like, but like even 312.
Yeah.
Like that beer is not what it was. It was never my favorite beer, but the beer it's just different.
Yeah.
And I think Daisy Cutter has certainly changed. You can say it's still amazing. You can say it's better than it used to be, but it's definitely different.
Different. Yeah.
Zombie Dust. Just everything.
Yeah.
So like maybe we should be appreciating the stuff that's just hitting so hard now.
Right.
And just like appreciating it.
Yeah.
You know, Two Hearted, it has been so good for so long. Appreciate
how
it.
long can that go on, right?
Yeah. So like, if it's tasting awesome, maybe like just appreciate how good it is and keep going to it, because it might not be like that forever, which is not how I've been thinking about things. And looking back,
More and more,
usually
though.
that's it. It changes.
Yeah.
That's interesting because I think that that
you are on my.
Yeah.
that beer, in a lot of ways, you can find similar kind of emotional attachment to experiences that you've had with beer that you would a song or a TV show that you used to watch or a movie, with one fundamental difference, which is that in the digital age, like, we can go back and watch that movie,
The
that
exact
show.
thing.
Exactly. Beer, there are very few examples where you can keep going back, like maybe Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. You can revisit that and it'll remind you of when you first had it.
Yeah.
But beer in general
But look at
is
Sam
going
Adams.
away.
Look at Sam Adams Boston Lager, and look at Fat Tire.
Right.
Even those
Those are
gone
completely,
away.
totally.
They're gone. Crazy.
So I agree with you. Like, just strike while the iron's hot. If you like that now,
Yeah.
drink it.
Yeah. I've had it. Well, you might not be having it for that much longer,
Right.
Because these things are changing over time.
You cannot think of it as like, oh yeah, I love that beer. It got
It's
me
locked
into
in
craft
ember.
beer. Like,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna go
Amber,
explore
yeah.
all of this other stuff. And when I want to go back to like my base, I'll go back to this beer. Well, it might not be there anymore.
Right.
Or if it's there, it's rebranded and the recipe's completely different.
Yeah. Yes. We're getting in some Fonta Flora stuff for the first time.
Oh, awesome.
And they had
people
this
there.
beer, called Whippoorwill. It was a wit with tea in it. Absolutely loved it. They changed the name, and I think they had some success through the name change, although I'm not as big a fan of the new name. It's now called Mimosa City. It's still the same beer. Haven't had it in a few years. Last time I had it was still great. We bought in a bunch. I'm hoping it's still what it always was, because it's fun to have these special beers that taste so good. And but stuff can 100% change. And now that I think about it, almost always, not always, but almost always does. These beers change. My favorite.
That would be a brewery where, just based on the beers I've had from them, conversations with them, all of their beers are going to be different just by a function of how they actually approach their beers and having the farm, etc. But in terms of the intent and the inspiration for those beers, I wouldn't doubt that it's some kick-ass thing. Maybe it's not exactly what you had before, but that same kind of passion and maybe some refined execution might be the result. But
but maybe some of this stuff has to go away. It's like tomorrow.
Oh, awesome!
Like really soon.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're excited about that. But I'm just thinking now of all the breweries. I mean, I haven't said it too many times out loud, but like, who knows how long Scratch is going to be around? I mean, is Scratch going to be around for 50 years? Probably not. Who knows? So it's just
and those are very much like time and place beers, right?
Yeah.
So
it's just I don't know. I'm very happy to kind of think of things this way. Like, if you like it, appreciate it, and keep having it, because who knows how long it's going to be like this.
I mean, we lived in an era of, like, I was talking to someone, I did a tasting at Infine Spirits recently, where I'm like, right now, like, in Chicago, we're still in the era where it's like maybe one of the best places to drink beer ever in the history of the world. Like, there are so many good breweries in and around Chicago. There's so many good breweries that get distributed here. Like, I can't think of a better time or a better place to drink. Like, I'm sure there's like higher peaks. Like, there's certainly better like individual styles in certain places, but like,
I think there's been better moments of like exploration and discovery.
Yeah.
You know, like
For
Pacific Northwest, like Portland or San Diego or Colorado.
Sure.
I'm sure when that stuff was just coming out was just like
Right.
so rad and amazing. But just from the just
As far as
disgusting wealth of amazing stuff that we have.
everything we know about what beer can taste like and what it should taste like and where it comes, like it's like we have.
Well, that's
like,
reflected by, like, you look at the countries that inspired us to make
Right.
beers and what their popular kind of hypey or new beers that they're brewing in those countries is all what we've already brewed here.
right.
So, like, they're taking cues from us now.
And like we have creators here, like people who make the beer here for almost every style you can think of that are maybe not like the most elite, like the number one producer, but at a near elite level. Like you guys are making some of the best lagers I've ever had at Goldfinger. Like I think that there's some of the best saisons ever being made between Afterthought, like Off Color. Like I think we're doing a very good job. Hoppy, like West Coast, even Midwest style. Like we have so many breweries that are making some of the best beers. We like have breweries that have won medals for making hazy IPA. Like everything you could ever want, like is at an elite level here in Chicago, and like that might not be forever. Like some of these things might not be sustainable.
This is like the best hype podcast right now to get people to drink beer.
I mean,
I'm like, I want to go into the store right now. And
it
grab
just
a
feels
bunch
like an expression of what's happening here, and like
Totally.
the way Chris was talking about, like drink ephemerally and drink the things that are like, holy crap, these are amazing beers.
Yep.
So like yeah, like, and we're very lucky to be here in Chicago in this time, because you could be like in a very different place. Like I grew up in Fairfield, Connecticut. I don't feel like the same thing is true in southwestern Connecticut as it is here. But like we should appreciate what we have, because it might not exist forever, right?
Except for his was.
Yeah, it will exist forever for sure.
I've got something I'm going to try off the cuff, so it won't be probably as good as I want it to be.
We'll make it better. Let's
Okay.
go.
All right. So let's do Saison Bernice or Oxbow Farmhouse Pale.
Bernice.
Okay.
Will you,
Bernice.
am I
No.
doing this
Bernice.
alone?
Yeah.
Okay,
Bernice.
I'm doing it alone. I got it.
Bernice or Arthur from Hill Farmstead.
Bernice.
Okay. Bernice or I can't do your own. Bernice or Saison DuPont.
Ooh. Probably Bernice.
Okay, Bernice or Thierry Extra.
Bernice.
Okay, Bernice or Blaugy Saison de
Poudre.
Boudre.
Poutre.
Boutre. Okay. Saison de Boutre or see, this is where I'm trying to come up with more.
You gotta tell me I can't.
No, I know. It's de Glazentoren.
Ooh. De Poudre.
De Poudre over at de Glazentoren?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
close, but
Okay.
yeah.
De Poutre or Fantôme Saison, base Fantôme Saison.
Well, which one? Like, what year are we talking about? Like 2014 or now? 2014 or now?
2014.
2014 Fantôme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's like the god tier, like Saison. Is this like?
Did I tell you
really,
we opened one up the other day? Literally, I think at 2014.
What
How
was
was
special
it?
about 14?
It just was. It was good. Like it was.
Well, it was good or
It had the correct infections.
undrinkably bad.
Yeah.
That was the thing about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Fantôme, modern Fantôme is undrinkable. I think.
Oh, interesting.
I haven't had a good Fantôme in
So
years.
it's funny. So this is what we opened up the other day, and here's what I wrote about it. I put this on. Somebody was going and doing some inventory in the basement and literally found this beer. And was like, "What do you want to do with it?" And I was like, "Let's open it, man." So I wrote, "We found this in a dusty corner of our cellar today, a Brasserie Fantôme of unknown vintage, perhaps 10 years or so." It said Best by 2018. We thought there was a 4-year Best by, so we thought it was 2014. And he said, "For those who know, understand this is a famously finicky beer, especially from this time period. When it's good, it's perhaps the best Saison in the world. At its worst, it's undrinkable. But it's the potential for the former that has Fantôme devotees put up with the latter. Is this bottle a good one, a bad one, or somewhere in between? Only one way to find out. Let's open it." So we said we're going to pop it open at 4 p.m. today. Come grab a glass if you're here or anything like that. It was great. It was great.
Yeah,
It was really good.
It-
It definitely had some oxidation, but it had that honeyed oxidation. It had no cardboard oxidation. You know how like Balticas and stuff like that, like those like Russian style, get that like honey
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it definitely had some of that.
Yeah.
But it was really good. It wasn't the God tier for me is when it's like really like clean and has like what I say is like a green strawberry or like a strawberry seed, something flavored to it.
Yeah.
There's this like strawberry thing going on in it. That to me is like still the best Saison I've had in my life. I remember where I was at the map room. I had it and was like, what the hell? This is mind blowing.
Yeah, I think like that's what like Hill Farmstead's like mixed culture program is meant to be. Like what
Yes.
god tier Hill
I think the
Farmstead God tier, yeah.
the Neo farmhouse was started based on Fantôme, I think. And I think Hill Farmstead started it here, and then it became this abstract cartoon where it became more and more and more sour, where then you had these like sour Saisons.
Well, that's like the intersection of like American Wild Ale and like
Right.
people that like had Jolly Pumpkin and they were like, we want to make that, and then made a terrible version of it. Plus, like Hill Farmstead doing like
people like Hill Farmstead Saisons are like sour or tart.
yeah,
That's great. We're gonna make our sour too. It's like, well,
you didn't quite hit it.
you didn't quite hit it.
Right. It's also like one of those things like you can't corral in the same way you can corral a lot of other flavors. So like it is something that like we think about and think is like important, but the Fantôme as like the guiding light of it has gone fully
Yeah. So is
chaotic.
Is Fantôme the Alpine Nelson of Belgian beer?
Of Belgian beer, of Saison, maybe like the Fantôme of that era, but Fantôme is still making beer, and the beer, the beer they're making,
Nelson is still being made.
Sure, but Mikkelhenny like exists, but there's no like, one of the only beers I've ever brought back to a bar and been like, I don't think I can finish this, was a Fantôme. It was like one of the garden versions of it, the Jardin, where I was like,
the beer. That brewery has always kind of been like that.
yeah, but now it's like it's been all misses.
Interesting.
When's the last time you had one from like?
We had a Phantom event, and some of them were really good.
Okay.
Now, were they that good? Like the
Were they
2014?
transcendent from 2014?
No, they weren't. But they were good.
Yeah. I mean, like the most like I've bought a bunch of Phantoms,
Yeah.
and I've yet to have one in the last like 5 years where I was like, this was even drinkable.
Whoa. Okay.
Wow.
We should do it with Tom now. Maybe we can tag team with Tom. We'll do it with lagers.
Yeah.
All right. Where should we start? All right, I'll start.
I don't know if there's a similar. I don't know if there's a similar
We're
like
just gonna do lagers.
idiomatic like weirdo lager brewery that's like that.
No,
Egg.
we don't have to end it. You chose Phantom.
Although Rodhouse
we could have been any of them. Yeah. So how we go? All right, let's go. What's the Hill Farmstead Pilsner? Is
Mary?
it Mary or Rodhouse? And you just chime in as you think of ones.
Mary.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mary or Suarez?
It's Marie.
Palatine.
Palatine or Marie? Or Mary, whatever.
Mary.
Okay. Mary or
Shunram.
Shunram.
Shunram. Okay. Shunram or
Shunram Hell or Shunram Pills or doesn't
Pills.
matter.
We're doing
Shunram.
We're doing pills, right?
yeah,
Or
sure.
just lager.
Sure. No, we'll do
Yeah,
pills.
Pills. Shunram pills.
Shunram.
Shunram.
Okay. Let's go.
Shunram trim.
Shunram or Live Oak pills.
Shunram.
Okay. Shunram or you were saying
Trimmer.
pills.
Oh. Shunram.
Okay. Shunram or
Pivo.
yeah. People
Shunram.
pills. Whoa. Okay.
He didn't even hesitate. He actually shook off. Like
How about Shunram or ST pills from Russian River?
he didn't want to shake it off so fast, but he's still going to say Shunram.
Shunram. Yeah.
Okay. Shunram or Human Robot. What's their pill?
Hallertau.
Yeah, the Hallertau pills.
It's a good one.
That's a very good one.
All the beers you said are phenomenal.
He hates all of them.
Shunram.
Okay. Shunram or Mars pills from Bamberg.
MHARS, not MAR.
From Bamberg.
Not
yeah.
MARZ.
Yeah.
Interesting, but Shunram.
Okay.
He almost got him.
How about
Real gotcha journalism.
Shunram or Kiesman pills from Bamberg?
No Bamberger pills is going to beat Shunram.
Okay.
But there's some Alpatian beers that might.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know Alpatian beers.
Right.
Sounds like hair's falling out of these beers.
Right. Okay.
Alopecia beers.
Shunram. I don't know if I've ever had Shunram.
I don't think I have.
It's hard to find.
Where's it
Yeah.
from?
The only place that it's from a town east of. It's in Franconia. It's very kind of eastern Germany.
Is this the place you were telling me to go to,
Yeah.
Mike? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The American dude.
Eric Toft. Yep.
Eric,
I mean, this guy.
Chris waved it off immediately. It's an American dude. No,
No, I did not.
I'm just joking.
An American dude who gains the respect of Germans is an American dude worth talking to.
Sure.
And his pedigree is just unreal. Starting in Belgium, being instrumental in a lot of Belgian breweries, went to this small town in Germany where he was just like volunteering, and then eventually the brewery down the street needed a new brewer, and this American guy comes in, and he's just brewing the same recipes, and like literally all the Germans are like, "Oh, this beer is shit now." Same thing, like that he's serving the same beers that were brewed by the previous German brewmaster, but just because he's an American, and he turns that thing around and makes some of the most incredible lagers in the world. I don't think he's there anymore. I think he's affiliated with it, but he's back in Belgium. But seriously, one of my bucket list places, and I got to try their beer for the first time. I was at Jack's Abbey, and one of the hop stealers that works a lot with them had just flown in that morning from Germany and had grabbed a few bottles of Schönram while he was there. So we had their Helles, their Pils. Those were the two that really stood out. There was one other one.
So I will say, that story has all the makings of the greatest Pils you've ever had, because you were at a place you really respected. Something came in that was like, oh my gosh, I wanted to have it. You just flew in with it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm having it with these people. We're all having our minds blown. That has like all the makings for tasting the best Pilsner you've ever had in your life.
But that's not the best Pilsner you've ever had in your life.
Second best.
Yeah.
But the difference between my two favorite is one was before I opened Goldfinger and one was after. And so I had a few years of thinking that I'm making a really good Pilsner, and then I have Schönram's Pilsner, and I'm like, shit, and go back to the drawing board at Goldfinger, because how the hell did they do
How
this?
does it taste like this?
How does it taste like this?
Right, and that's when you're deep down a rabbit hole of something you've been making for years, and you're like, I get this thing, I understand how you make this, and you have something, you're like, I don't know what to do with this.
Exactly.
Most beers at this point, even like beers you don't make, I feel like you probably think you're like, I could reverse engineer this 95% of the way. And then every once in a while you have a beer where you're like, I have no idea. This is very much the thing that I try to make, and I have no idea how they did this.
Totally.
Like, I don't know what this is.
It's the most humbling experience as a brewer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for
It's
sure.
when they have like sometimes I have a saison every once in a while. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know how they made it taste like this. I want my beer to taste like that, and I don't get it.
Well, and I feel like saison probably is even more difficult, because like German lagers, for the most part, you can reverse engineer if you have the know-how.
Sure.
And the
there are
equipment,
many more rules.
And the proper equipment. There's a lot less blending going around. There's still art to it, but it's definitely more systematic.
Yeah.
Saison, good luck, man.
Could be whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if the brewer that did that, the one that made you feel that way, could repeat that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But that was more of an example of I made a beer that I couldn't repeat. No, I'm just joking. But like, if you taste things and you're just like, I don't know how to make that. And like, for the most part, as a brewer, like, I get how to make.
But honestly, thank God for those beers, because
they're the most beautiful beers.
They're beautiful. They humble you, but they also give you something to strive for.
Yeah.
Like, I would hate to be at a point where I'm walking around the streets thinking that I make the best beer. That would be a terrible place to be. I want to be in a place where I'm like, why the hell are you not making the best beer yet? Because here are 5 examples of better beers.
I mean, part of the reason we do this is because it's a thing we can never master, right?
Right.
I've been on this podcast saying, like, if you don't make your favorite beer, then you're fucking messing up. But it doesn't mean you've made the perfect beer, right?
Right.
Like, I'm sure, like, OG or Pils is something that you're like, that's close to my favorite beer. Wilby is close to my favorite beer. Are they perfect beers? Absolutely not.
No.
But, like,
And trying to
You
get
have
them
your-
to hit at that level every time is very hard. Like,
Really hard.
I mean, we're in a time now during brewing where new crop years are coming into the mix, and having to adjust for those, and we've had a hell of a time trying to adjust just our mill.
Yeah.
Because like the grain is of a different quality
Right.
this year. And speaking of Shonram, Eric Toff talks about like how there are so much fluctuations there that he has the luxury, we were talking about this earlier, of like being able to brew 5 turns of a brand new crop year and then blend those out with like previous crop years and make all of their adjustments based on that. When you're a small brewery, sub 3,000 barrels a year on a 15-barrel brew house, you can't like tie up one tank of like 5 turns of your brand new malt that you received.
Right. So that's a different goal, right? Consistency over everything for him. We're trying to make new stuff all the time, or at least achieve new things, right? Consistency is important and a huge part of what we're doing. But like striving for new stuff, we're not in Germany trying to be like, hey, we're making the exact
No, it's a very
same
American thing.
Yeah.
The new stuff thing, right?
The
Yeah.
new is
It's like there's nobody else
evolution.
in the world doing anything remotely like this at the scale we are. There's American-influenced breweries around the world, I think, in England and Belgium and
Sweden,
stuff like that. Yeah. But that's just like what we do. Where if you go to like
That's a good point.
anywhere else, and it's just like, you know, bang, 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 bang. Just like, these are what we do. We might introduce something. We might have a seasonal, but these are our beers, and we just hone them in. And I don't think you can have a world-class beer unless you're doing it that way. I mean, your best beers, Mike, are going to be the ones that you make over and over again.
Right. I mean,
I
it's
agree.
Like we've made Will Be. We probably only released 150 different beers. We've made Will Be over 200 times. It's the base of a bunch of things we do, and the point was to make that beer over and over and
And
over.
it's
and
gotten,
over again.
I mean, it wasn't, it was always good, but it's gotten
It's
so
much better than it was when we
It's
started.
much better now.
Much
I mean,
better than when we
it is now a like everyday worthy beer. Like, you can just
Thank you.
have it. Like when I went there the other day, when I ran into you after you were at In Fine Spirits,
Mm-hmm.
talking about how you're the greatest ever of all time. I
Best
think you said
brewery of all time.
you're
I
the
was telling
greatest of
people,
all time.
Yeah.
After you were saying that,
GOAT.
yeah. Right. I went in and was like, all right, I'll will be. I'm like, oh, it's off on draft.
Yeah.
It's in bottles. So I was like, well, okay. What else should I have? And that's when I had the gin
The
tree
Gin
tipper.
Girl Chew.
Also a great beer that I've had lately. That beer is
But-
phenomenal.
Thank you. Very different beer than Will Be, though, right? Like a
Totally
very much
different.
more like peak experience beer, whereas Will Be is like,
No,
This
you
is
just sit down, you drink it, and then you get another one.
yeah.
Right. Which, in the grand scheme of things, is the better beer. Way to go, Tom.
How did that even happen?
It was the cord. You pulled your cord, and it knocked the thing off.
Anyway, in the grand scheme of things, the best beer that's the most repeatable is the best beer, right? Is that what you were saying?
The most repeatable as a drinker,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Those are the best
curious how you approach the curation of your bottle shop as well as your draft, because you're somebody who appreciates those consistent beers, but you also are catering to an American market. So how do you balance like this tendency to want to have new all the time, but also your belief in like the highest quality of repeatable beers?
Well, I think it's easier to take you through the tap room than it is the bottle shop. Tap room will have a few beers that are always or almost always on. One would be Sierra Nevada. If we don't have it on, it's because we can't get it on the way we want it. We have Jungle Boogie on. We have we'll have a really good Pilsner on, which is often one of a couple different types. Right now we have Trumer and Rothaus, which is kind of odd, I think.
So many riches.
Yeah, which is weird. we'll often then have certain breweries on. Like
Scratch.
we've had, Scratch always. Delacen lately. The past year, we've had Delacen on more often than we haven't, I think. And then we try to have, then we try to hit styles, I think, after that. We try to have a lambic if possible, a Belgian lambic, ideally, but doesn't need to be. Usually something barrel-aged, something on
Like
cask.
spirit barrel aged.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yes.
So not new. It's more respected players within the different styles. You want to feature styles above newness.
Yeah. Yep. There we do. On the draft list, we do. Yeah, like, oh, this is our new, like, we're coming out with a new IPA this week. We're going to have drafted it. We'll bring it in. We have done that, but we have to be very confident in who you are, and we have to have a good relationship. Like, either of you guys, I think, we would be, like, open to doing that.
If either of us came out with a double IPA, you would put it on.
A new beer that you'd never made before.
How about a Polish
That sounded
Saison
cool.
Bison grass?
Right. Like that one, maybe not. I don't know.
Rough.
But yeah, that's what we do. So I guess we don't really go for new. I don't think we do on our draft list. No.
Yeah, you've had
Not at all.
success. So
Well-
what does that say about
I don't
America?
know.
then?
Have we? I don't know. Now, new, much more a big thing in the bottle shop.
Okay.
Yeah. I think people are getting tired of new. But I don't think they entirely realize that yet.
Are people getting tired of craft beer, or is it are they getting tired of new, or both, or neither?
I don't think people are getting tired of craft beer.
Okay.
I don't.
Because
I-
for so
yeah.
long, new was tied to being what craft beer is, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the craft beer that gets made fun of in pop culture and stuff like that are the people that honestly we'd been making fun of all along. The Untapped people, okay, all of you out there who are on Untapped, we're not saying nobody else but me has said anything.
I'm saying it.
But yeah, well, they all know that when I say that, you mean it, even though you haven't.
Yeah.
It's like the the people who just put too much emphasis on scores, not the app itself. Like
Right.
you can use like that sort of stuff. The I don't want it, I've had it crowd, that sort of stuff.
Right.
I think those people, like you were saying, were in it for just different reasons. It was a different type of hobby for them.
There's a
So maybe they're
collection.
getting tired of it, and they're going to move on to their own thing. But people who really were like, wow, this beer is awesome, are going to stick around and still drink that stuff. And probably like, you know what, chill out a little bit. Like all three of us, I'm sure did. Like when you're like, wow, there's like a whole world of stuff out there. I need to try it all. And then you realize like there's no way you can try it all. Find what you like, relax. Something new comes along, try it. But you don't need to like drop everything you're doing to try everything new, knowing that, usually it's not going to be better than something that's just sitting there on the shelf.
I also think there is a whole new generation of people that might like craft beer that we assume like, oh, they're not drinking, or like Gen Z, and like they're coming out, like they're showing up at our tap room in different times, different ways than we thought they would.
Man, when I was there, like it seemed like everybody was on a date, by the way.
Nice. That's what we
That's
we
a
like
good
that.
date spot. I
Yeah.
could see that.
But like our late, like we're open late on the weekends, and it's always younger people showing up. And so younger people still want to explore these things. We're told they don't drink. We're told they don't like. engage with alcohol the same way, but like when we're open late, like it very infrequently older people. It's like always 26 and younger, maybe probably on a date, people hanging out, but they're coming to the Saison Brewery, like maybe in the neighborhood, maybe not, maybe something they saw, but they don't have the same preconceived notions about what beer is that we had when we were getting into it 10, 15 years ago.
Right.
So, like, there's a whole other group of people, like, that are maybe just because they're younger that want to have beers that we can steer them towards that we believe in.
Should we talk about anything else before we go, Mike? Is there any other topics you wanted to discuss?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm good on topics. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then.
Tom, how are you?
I'm great.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. All right.
How about you, Chris?
I don't know. I'm about to make a big announcement the next day or two about our kitchen. I could break the news here.
Well, this will come out, like, tomorrow, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean,
What's going on in the kitchen?
people will be eating pizza here by the time they hear this. Like, oh, there's a new podcast just dropped.
And they already have a pizza in their mouth.
They already have a pizza in their mouth.
From who?
From us. Very important that I say that.
Yes, of
Very
course.
important that I say that.
Yes.
But we're I've been working with a friend of the show, friend of the pod, Pete from Middlebrow.
Oh.
Middlebrow Bungalow.
Nice.
So yeah, we're working with him on doing pizza, and I
make
still haven't
good
run this
pizza.
by Ashley Brandt exactly how I can say it. I do know that saying things have held us up by like well over a month. So, you know,
Oh, well,
It's great.
Serge, cut this out.
nah, that's fine.
Ashley always holds you up.
It's true. That's what he does.
He's the best at it, but also, like,
Yes.
I'm going to do whatever I want, Ashley.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like
Very exciting.
Middlebrow's pizza, although it'll be an all new style of pizza.
Cool.
That's being developed that Pete's been working on.
Slices.
Not slices.
Not slices.
Well, we will be
Like a
doing
completely
slices.
new, like,
Style that
New
is,
style.
It's not
Sauce
at
on the
currently. Yeah, under the crust.
A whole new pizza.
Yeah. It's sauce, and then cheese, and then there's crust
On top.
set on top of it.
awesome.
It's gonna
That's very
eat it with
exciting.
uncooked.
Uncooked, yeah. Raw dough.
Sweet.
Just dough. Yeah, just flour. Actually, it's not even made into dough.
Sprinkled on top of sauce.
Yeah, with dry yeast on top.
It sounds
Nice.
kind of delicious.
You
still.
eat it while it's fermenting.
Yeah, it ferments in your gut,
Yeah.
and
And then you enjoy it.
Oh.
you have terrible diarrhea. So yeah, we're very excited for all of what I just said. I'm away with giving out
Promotion.
news. Yeah, so very excited about that. So yeah, we're gonna be doing pizza. Frankly, it's been what I'd wanted to do since day one.
I remember you
day
talking
one.
to me like, how do we make a slice shop in here?
Yeah, right.
I'm like, I don't know, dude.
But yeah, I couldn't be happier. I all along was hoping that I could work with Pete from Middlebrow on this, and so that's big news. Waited that for
Awesome.
anyone who stuck around for this long. They can hear
Buried
about
the
that.
lead.
Yeah, so we'll be doing delivery too, so you can get beer and pizza
Whoa.
delivered to you, or wine. Want
You
some
delivered
wine?
to Downers
time.
Grove?
That very much depends. Do I personally happen to already be going there? Then maybe, yeah, I'll bring some out.
Come on down.
So there's that. I guess I could talk about that. Other than that, no, I have nothing to talk about.
That was a big thing to talk about, but
Yeah,
or not talk about.
we've got our end of year show coming as well.
One of the biggest
Annual.
shows of the year.
One of the biggest shows of the year. So that's coming up next year. Next week.
Will
Do you
come
have
out
your
next-
beer of the year picked out yet? I think I do. You can't say. You cannot say. Stuff will get bleeped. Don't even try. Yeah. All right. With that said, I think we'll get out of here. We'll see you guys next week for the end of the year show. Thanks, Tom, for coming on out. Thanks, Mike, for eventually making it here. I appreciate it. And why don't you take us out of here, Mike?
Goodbye.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we